Another day, another chance for good boy Trunks to try too hard. Hey guys, MasakoX here. Yep, after another 3 months of waiting, and I'm pretty sure that many of you are going to be typing that in the comments, I have come back to a what if that many of you have been waiting for. One that hasn't been seen in the wild on this channel since the month of August. And, yeah, really, that's quite the eternity in YouTube speak, isn't it? In any case, this particular what if that we're talking about today hasn't been birthed out of something that you're having to pluck straws out of the ether to try and find. Nothing tenuous like that. This is probably one of the oldest what ifs in the Dragon Ball book. I'm not trying to be the hype man here, and this isn't just on this channel. It's everywhere. It's, well, what if Goku married Bulma? A scenario which isn't just some kind of means of speculation without any evidence to back it up. This what if does have some evidence that it could be relatively credible. This could have easily happened if Toriyama woke up on a different side of the bed and decided that Bulma and Goku were to pair up after the 23rd World Martial Arts Tournament, instead of following up with the whole Chi-Chi married dinner thing. From what we discovered and what you can infer as an audience member, Bulma did have some feelings towards Goku when they became adults, and after seeing him as he grew up and then realized, oh my god, Goku's kinda hot. Everything clicked together and Bulma just really liked Goku as a person. And had Bulma not been aware or didn't care about Chi-Chi's advances from what she could see, then things might have turned out differently. It was only because Bulma decided to back off that things turned out the way they did. But yeah, Bulma was just too nice. Hey, there's always Yamcha. For the most part, after actually talking about it and thinking about it for the longest time, this relationship is a pretty good one. Bulma is very intelligent and is very observant of people's feelings. She gets Goku, if you know what I mean. She understands the kind of person he is. He may not be the smartest person out there, and he can be very selfish at times, but his heart's in a good place. And his endearing nature and happy-go-lucky attitude can be very, very helpful when there's crunch time going on at Capsule Corp. You know, running a multi-billion zenny company in that world, it can be pretty stressful. And just having some kind of goofball there to kind of just lighten the mood every now and again, even if it's just do with some kind of food-related antics, you know, it's kind of helpful. Anyone who's watched the play that goes wrong can attest to that. So, in my opinion, I think it would go really, really well. And in fact, we do still end up having Gohan, albeit with pink hair instead of, black. It's not all smiles and sunshine though. Once we find out about the Saiyan traits and all of that Goku's a Saiyan, and therefore Gohan's part Saiyan, and with this whole drama going on Namek, and this new power, and then emotions running high, it's not all plain sailing, especially for Bulma. How can I trust you? You're not really human. You're not human. How can I understand you now? It throws everything up in the air. Everything that she knew is just turned on its head. And a lot of you really got emotionally invested, especially when it came time for Goku and Bulma to have the talk. In the last part, we talked about the beginnings of the Android saga, and we're just discussing the ideas that, thanks to everything that had preceded before him, with Goku getting the bigger power and everything like that, that it meant that that saga could end very prematurely. We were this close to ending the tyranny, or potential tyranny, of Dr. Gero. However, then you decided to vote for Trunks to come back and help them out. And that kind of got everything messed up. Trunks' desperation to take out 17 and 18 meant that he just got in the way. Gero took him hostage, and everything just blew up in everybody's faces. It resulted in Android 16 being freed and now on the hunt for Goku, and no one knowing what to do. As that's going on though, with Trunks, Vegeta, and Piccolo trying to catch up to 16, Bulma, Gohan, and Krillin are now figuring out what are they gonna do with these two pods, 17 and 18. I left a poll for you guys, and now we're about to find out there is... Okay, who am I kidding? 92% of you said just take them out and reprogram them. That was pretty unanimous, wasn't it? You guys were adamant that I kept them in the story somehow, and honestly, I don't blame you. So with Vegeta, Piccolo, and Trunks catching up to Android 16, Bulma is now trying to figure out how she can reprogram 17 and 18 with the limited amount of resources she has in Gero's lab. She takes a look at their diagnostic computers, assuming that they're robots, but then just recoils in shock. These are mostly human with cybernetic enhancements. Cyborgs. Gero had somehow managed to leap forward light years in relative to what he could do before, and have made cybernetic humans to do his bidding. Bulma wouldn't have done this without anybody's consent. Who would have given Jiro consent? How could he have made this in a cave with a box of scraps? Something bad must have been happening here. Gohan is now really keen to help his mother figure out the problem because remember, Gohan's a smart boy. So together they're going to be tinkering away with the diagnostic computers, doing the research, finding about all of the logs in the archives, and then there's just Krillin over in the corner just going, huh, kinda wish I paid attention more to Shell in school. Oh well, at least he doesn't have to go toe-to-toe with the big robot. That's something. Now speaking of the big bot, that search isn't going very well because for the most obvious reason, 16 doesn't really emit any energy because he's just a robot. However, Vegeta remembers that this bot's trying to find Kakarot, and most likely he's going to try and go to Capsule Corp. So he then delegates, because he's not going to do it himself because that involves not fighting, and says to Trunks that he should go and scout and wait for him there. Especially since it means that Trunks can't really screw anything else up. Trunks resents this immensely, but then Piccolo just gives him that particular look in the sense of like, yeah, Vegeta does have a point, you kinda screwed up there. Trunks silently then breaks off from the group and heads off to West City, but he needn't worry. With 16 unencumbered by 17 and 18's wishes to just drive a van around for no particular reason for a while, he then discovers what we discover with him with birds. He loves nature. As we've seen from various research over the years, Jiro had made 16 much more docile so he wouldn't get involved in battles because this is a facsimile of his son. He wouldn't want any kind of resemblance of his son to get hurt, and this is backed up with the fact that 16 isn't programmed to destroy any living thing. His existence is to take out Goku. Back at Jiro's lab, Bulma's really suffering with some kind of metaphysical dilemma about what she's gonna do. This reprogramming is really just some kind of mental conditioning now. This isn't just a simple, oh, I'm just gonna update them. Human. And also, she's never had to do this before, so it's very, very difficult to try and think of something on the fly without your main tools. Krillin then pipes up and says, well, if they're human, then just talk to them. Gohan then says, well, yeah, that's not a bad idea, just talk to them like humans. If they're human, they might be able to have some kind of reasoning capability. But Bulma isn't too sure of this, because based on what she can find through the diagnostic computer, Jiro had tried many times to reason with these two, albeit rather harshly and bluntly, but it showed that they were very rebellious and just rejected any kind of programming that they received. Remember, 17 and 18, they were teenage delinquents and didn't really listen to authority, no matter where it came from. And it really doesn't help that Bulma's mind is even more frazzled with the thought that her husband, who's currently in bed and not at 100% capacity, may be having this big red-headed robot coming to try and take him out. And who's to say that these two don't do the same thing? Gohan then says, well, okay, if they didn't listen to anything given to them, then don't give them anything at all. That's it. If Bulma can't reprogram them, because Jiro couldn't, then just take them back right to the beginning before they got the directive to take out Goku. They would just think that they were human, because that would be the basis for Jiro to then build up what they would become. She then takes on the computer with newfound vigor and finds the earliest base of their firmware thanks to all the backups, because, you know, Jiro may be a madman, but he does keep up backups because, you know, scientists, you gotta be smart. So long as their code doesn't contain any trace of Goku, this should work. Krillin then thinks, well, maybe if this doesn't work, it may not be best that we're hanging around outside their pods. Bulma and Gohan agree and decide to hide nearby. Now that they're hidden, 17 and 18 exit their pods, not really sure how they got there. Where's that old man that they met? He's nowhere either, or at least what they could see. Hey, cool, the door's open. Whatever, we'll just go and find the nearest town, I suppose. Okay. How do we get down? There's no stairs or lift or whatever. Bulma observes this for a moment and can't really sense any malicious intent and decides to engage, Gohan and Krillin standing by in case things go south. She nervously offers to take them to the nearest town, saying that she has a vehicle in her capsule bag. They're thinking, okay, whatever, we got no other options. This version of their firmware hasn't really got any trace of them knowing that they're androids or that they've been given extra powers. Bulma's really banking on them not remembering that they can shoot beams and stuff like that, or break through walls without injury. This is a really big gamble. They find the nearest town and set them both down. Catch you on the flip side. And then they all head off in their separate directions, 17 and 18 blending into the public. As far as Bulma's concerned, job done. Wait, Masako. They just let them go? Well, yeah. Bulma thought that instead of trying to get 17 and 18 to be on their side, and potentially risking Goku's life or anyone else's life, the best thing to do would be to neutralize them, and make sure that they weren't any kind of threat. And after all, these two are human, so try and give their humanity back in some way. They now can just go back and rebuild, and therefore wouldn't be a threat at all. And I don't think Bulma was really comfortable with the idea of just making them her subjects or anything like that. She basically thinks that she's as bad as Gero by trying to restrict these two humans. But yeah, if these had been robots fully, things would have been much easier. Yeah, this is a bit of a risk, so I'm gonna leave this on a poll for you guys. What do? Do they discover that they have powers? Do they decide to go on a rampage? Or do they just live out their lives? It's up to you guys. Trunks then arrives at Capsule Corp and discovers that 16 is nowhere to be seen, and everything seems to be fine. He is smarting from Vegeta's scolding, so therefore he's a little bit sensitive right now. And all of the issues that he had when he first got back to the past, you know, the fact that he doesn't exist here, and that Bulma and Goku are together instead of Bulma and his dad, yeah, it's all bubbling back up to the surface again, and he really doesn't want to be thinking about it. Meanwhile, Vegeta and Piccolo are still looking for 16, and this is when Kami interrupts Piccolo, mentally, and says that he needs him to get to the lookout as soon as possible. Something's going down in Ginger Town, I think you know what it might be. Vegeta then sees Piccolo diverging from him and shouts at him, "Where do you think you're going, Namekian?" Piccolo's relatively silent, just turning around and saying, "I have to take care of something. Besides, why are you complaining? It means you get the big guy to yourself. Isn't that what you want? To take the win? For once?" Ooh, Vegeta, you're gonna need a senzu for that one. At this point, things have really kind of settled down and we've kind of stalled, but things are gonna kick off again when we now discover Imperfect Cell. He's now wandering around Ginger Town drinking people, and Kami now thinks that, yeah, maybe we might need to do something about this. I need to do something about this as the Guardian of Earth, and this instigates the Namekian fusion. There is nowhere near as much of a stalemate as there was in the original, because thanks to all of the antics in part 4 of this What If, Nail's personality is much more present and he's much more compliant. Because remember, they had to fuse very, very quickly. And instead of just saying Piccolo, "I'm gonna be the strong one," they kind of had to be a bit more balanced. So now we have a fused Kamikolo heading off to fight Cell. And this is where we're gonna leave things for right now. We now got 17 and 18 free and blended into the crowd, not aware of their powers, and this is gonna make Cell's job much harder because how is he going to become perfect if 17 and 18 aren't going to make themselves known? Meanwhile, we got Vegeta potentially going to be ruthless with 16, if he can actually find him, that is. And yeah, based on all the power scaling and all that, I think Vegeta's still going to come off worse, but still, it's a challenge, and Saiyans love challenges. So what do you guys think? Do you like the approach I did with 17 and 18? Do you think Cell's going to achieve perfection in any kind of way? Leave a comment below, and let's get this discussion going. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Until the next one, be sure to like and subscribe. Catch you later!